Alright, it's been a while, but we're going to do another live with Spry. I got Ellie over here and Spry. Last one I did was, this is I think 115, so the number 115. And I did notice that we're way behind on, Jeff Trudell is in. Hey Jeff, we are behind on updating them on YouTube. So if you're watching this now, or even if you're watching it later and we're not live, Aaron Garlock is in, Jerry's in, Brooke Christine is in. Good evening, guys. Jason Erickson. So a lot of the same people that we had pretty religiously for a while. Cam Cutters is in. So the YouTube, I've been transferring over to YouTube, and we're behind on them a little bit, so we're going to get caught back up on that quickly. The last live with Spry that we did, we were in the truck. I got in a lot of trouble for that one from my wife, so I decided I'm going to do this one from the shop. I'm also going to kind of give you, some new people. Joe Callback, he is coming to the workshop, I believe. Taylor, Jay, Jeff, Colin, Brown. Welcome, guys. Welcome, everybody. So a lot of you are probably new because I haven't done a live one for quite a while. But couple things I put in the beginning of it. It's not very fancy. We're just not very fancy. And so, and where Spry is right now is she turned 1 in December. So I am retrieving with her, and I'm going to show that a little bit. Vicky Rayburn's in, Doug is in, Chris is in, Shane Stover joined in. Welcome, guys. So I am doing a little bit of retrieving with her, but not a ton, and she's pretty good at it, and I'm going to show you that. We went through her hold conditioning live, and that helped greatly. I'll be honest with you, I haven't retrieved a whole lot with her since, and you can sense the nervousness in my voice. I don't care. I'm really not in that big of a rush. So I'm going to use Spry not only as an example, especially when she was a young pup, on some of the stuff that we do. When I say we're not fancy, the reason I say we're not fancy is because we're not. Some of this stuff is awful boring. Some of this stuff is not super exciting. Krista said, I missed how old you said she is. She turned a year in December. So she's a little over a year now. I guess kind of creeping up on a couple more months there. I feel like she just turned a year. It's been a couple months already. So, but one of the things that we've done with her, and if you are familiar with Live with Spry's, we really tried to document. We really tried to document the process from the start, and we're going to continue it. And I don't know how long we'll go with it, but probably quite a while, because she's got a ways to go. A significant amount of work has been done. We got a whole lot more to do. So I said it wasn't fancy because this right now is literally what I've been working on a lot with her lately. We're in our warehouse, and the other day I noticed she's pretty steady. And when I say steady, I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm going to flip this. I'm going to flip this around. Let's see. We'll show her. Now, when I say she's steady, what I mean by that is she doesn't break. So she's not going to break on retrieves. And you guys saw us talk about steadiness early on with puppies. I can throw stuff all day long for her. She's not going to break. So I like that. We work really hard on dogs being patient and steady. Tennis balls, antler dummies, bumpers, doesn't matter what we're throwing. I like dogs. Now, you also can see she's about half cocked, like she's ready to go. If I lined her right now to send, she really would like to go make that retrieve. And she's pretty steady. Ellie, go ahead. Another nice little test for her. So Ellie's going to have to say, well, which one do I want here? Come on. Good. Hold. See how she bubbles right up? Ellie, here. Hold. Here's the value in that hold conditioning. But you can see Spry, like, see it. Spry gets pretty amped up. She really would like to go get that. Ellie. So one of the things that I've really been working with Spry on, come on, hold. There's these little antsy feet. Hold. Sit. Sit. Dead. Good. Sit. So I don't think she's going to break. I mean, don't you think she'll make a pretty nice little gun dog at some point? I don't think she's going to break. I got a lot of confidence in her. But one of the things that my issue has been with her is we do a lot of stuff that just isn't that exciting. Retrieving is exciting. So retrieving is a lot of fun. Retrieving is it's something that they love to do. It's something that most of us really like to do. I think sometimes we like to retrieve more than our dogs do. So we do it, and we do it too much. And so I don't do a ton of retrieving, and you guys know that if you've watched early on. But with her, I'll flip it back around. With her, one of the issues that I've had is not the retrieving part. She's steady for retrieves. And I'll show you, we'll make a retrieve with her because she is retrieving. So Ellie, get in place. Ellie, go in place. So when Spry... So I've got one out there. Spry. Good. Come on. You can see, man, she loves it. Here. Come on. Good girl. Hold. Right here. Hold. Hold. Very nice. Good. Now, remember, sit. Remember not too long ago, that dog was not doing that. And seems like it was a long time ago. It wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago I couldn't get my dog to make a retrieve. This dog would not make a retrieve. So it's taken some time to get here. And now that she is retrieving, I don't go and over-retrieve her. I make her, you know, how many did I throw so far? And she got to pick up one. So the last one I could send Ellie, or I can just go pick it up myself. But the steadiness part is where I've slipped a little bit. Now, if you guys remember, when we were doing stuff in our kitchen, when we were doing stuff in the house with her, even when I was able to get outside a little bit with some of the reception, which, by the way, I think we're getting a fix to. I think we're going to have the ability to go live outside again soon. So that's going to be a nice add for me from a convenience standpoint. But so one of the things when early on she's always been, I think, pretty solid as far as steadiness. But I would say the last 4 weeks, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, so not too long, but a little bit of time now, I've noticed her slip on it, not on steadiness with retrieving, but just steadiness in life. Like, I had people in here the last couple of weeks. We've been really busy doing a ton of packaging and shipping out stuff. I've had people come in, and I had one of our vendors was in, and I had her. We didn't have much room in here, so if you turn around and you look at our shop, it's pretty tight. We just built the new shop. We're going to be into it by the end of this month. But back in here, I had pallets everywhere. So I had 2 spots, right there and right there. And I actually had these 2 dogs with, and I put them on a place, and I used a piece of cardboard. I just used a box like this. I laid it flat on the ground, and I put the dogs on place there. It was easier for them to stay in one spot, and it wasn't quite the elevated bed, but we just didn't have space for it. So put her over there, and I realized I didn't pay much attention to her, and next thing I know, she's wandering around this shop. And I got this vendor in, and I'm talking to him, so I don't really want to make a correction at that point. And so I made a little mental note, and I went, well, I guess I've got something here to work on. And so I realized when I take her places and tell her to sit, she's got to sit. Now, I've been thinking about going live here for the last 10 minutes, but I got on the phone with Steph, and we were having a conversation about a couple other things, and the whole time I had her sitting right there. So this has been a lot of the training I've been doing over the last 4 weeks. Just a lot of this. Just sit in one spot and don't do anything else. Now, the problem is I get busy, and if I don't pay attention and she starts to wander and I catch her after she's wandering, I can't correct her for it. I missed the opportunity. So I've been doing a lot more where I'm setting her up. You know, I'll go work on my computer, but I can see her. But I'll just put her on sit. And so when I said this is going to be not fancy or exciting, this is what I mean. Like, I'm doing a lot of this. And the reason I'm doing a lot of this is because this is what she needs right now. You just saw her make a nice retrieve. I'll give her another one. So you guys know I don't like throwing a lot of marks for dogs. So we set up this little memory. So I come out, drop the bumper, drop the antler dummy. I come back. Now I'll put some delay in it. We'll keep talking, and then eventually I'm going to send her on that retrieve and let her make another retrieve. It's bridging the gap. I saw this question come through recently multiple times about dog picks it up every time they throw it, but when they don't throw it, when they hide it, dog won't pick it up. They'll smell it, they'll run past it, they just won't pick it up and bring it back. Why? What's the problem? And it's easy. You're going from A to Z, and you got to bridge the gap. So this is how I do it. Trailing memory is going to fix that. Sight memory is going to fix that. Circle memories are going to fix that. It's just building in retrieves that come off the ground instead of out of our hands. So Devin Windsor got in, Mark Phelps, Jeff Bragg, Brian Britton. Here's the other thing, guys. So I kind of quit reading on these because it stopped scrolling for me. If you've got questions, this is the time to ask them. This one's going to be pretty short. So if you've got questions, fire away, because I'm not going to get into a whole lot. Cody Miller says he's watching NAW TV while watching this. Yeah, I think we have a full season of developing your deer dog segments, and I believe they started, and I have yet to see one. I'm telling you guys, the Moors really cut back. We no longer do cable. But so Cody, I appreciate you watching that. I just got a text message from another guy that said he just saw a segment, so it must be airing tonight. But I'm going to go through the questions after, because otherwise I get way sidetracked. So what I was talking about was how not fancy she's been, and just how much I've realized where her weaknesses are, and that's what I'm working on. So one other thing that I definitely wanted to talk about tonight is, and this is just building time in, just building in time. Couple things. This is what I wanted to talk about. This is brand new. So this is actually just a sample. We don't have it done yet, but we redid the shed DVD. So I know we've had this one out. This is our foundation one. We've had this shed one. If you've got one of these, put it in the vault, man. It's going to be worth something someday, maybe. No longer. The Gun Dog Shed DVDs are no longer available. So we have phased out of that DVD, and instead I refilmed them this year. And the reason I did was because I wanted to do it exactly how we wanted to do it. They went from 40, let's see. They went from 48 minutes to right now. We just reviewed the final cut of it, the final edit. And I believe right now we're at 2 hours and 57 minutes, something like that. And that is just shed training. And so one of the other things that came up with that was hold conditioning. And I know a lot of you guys have talked about hold conditioning and seen me talk about hold conditioning, talk about the importance of hold conditioning. So hold conditioning, we do not cover it in the shed DVD because it's another hour. So we filmed it. I've got it. We filmed it. It's another hour on top of 2 hours and 50 some minutes of shed training. And so what we're doing is we're going to offer that for free. So you're going to get the hour-long hold conditioning with the shed DVD. To me, I think that, I don't want to say it yet, but I think it's totally different than any other training DVD that's ever been done. We did it in chapter form, similar to how you've seen them in the past, but we supported majority of the chapters with workshop footage. So we have like live application of the stuff from the workshops. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be phenomenal. And I hate to say that because I think it sounds like, oh, you think we think our stuff is good. I do think it's good. I'm going to be really honest with you. I think it's maybe one of the best pieces of content I've ever seen when it comes to dog stuff. So that's coming. I'm going to talk with you guys soon and let you know how you can get it ordered. It's not available yet. It's not pre-order available yet. It will be soon. So be patient with me on that. And then we've got a couple other really, really interesting projects in the works. But so this is nice little natural built-in delay for Spry. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. I'm going to look if there are any questions. And by the time I get through with those, we will send her on a retrieve, which will be a memory. And it will be her picking up off the ground. So we're fixing that problem of dogs that retrieve when you throw it, but they don't pick stuff up off the ground. This is how I'm going to do that. So let me go back through. So Carol Myers got in. Hunter Huntnick is in. Joe, we saw that. Any questions here? Yes, she's 1. So the question was, how old is she? She turned 1 in December. Chad from Missouri. Welcome, Chad. Sam, how's Sam doing? Cody's in. Brian, Trace, Zach Wright, James Lewis. James, I just sent a package to that email that you had sent me about that fundraiser, shed hunt fundraiser. Jeff Bragg is in. Jeff, how are we doing? I think Jeff is looking at figuring out how he's going to get to the workshop this year. I saw some people talking about her weight. I apologize. Let me scroll through some of this stuff. Brian said things are going well. Things are doing really well. What does she weigh these days? Jeff said she looks little, but maybe I'm used to it pushing 70. Yeah, she is little. I don't know what she weighs, and to be honest with you, you can look over the top of her. She's a little lean for me right now. I probably would put 2 pounds on her if I could. I've been upping her food a little bit, so she's a little lean. She is small. I'm gonna say she's probably 40. She's probably 45 pounds right now. I could see her getting up to maybe 47, 48 pounds, but I think that'd be about perfect for her. So she is a little lean. She's put on a little weight. She got really lean. You guys, they go through these growth spurts. I had a couple people talking about getting dogs spayed or neutered lately. This is another tangent, but I do not recommend it early. I know vets want you to do it right away and all that stuff. That's to that's Bob Barker talk. That's to keep the pet population in check. I do not think it's good for a dog to get spayed or neutered early. I think it screws up a lot of stuff inside of them, which will create issues with potential growth situations that can. The dogs these days are prone to enough things. We don't need to put fuel on that fire that there's potential issues. They have enough things that they're going up against. So from a growth standpoint, from joint standpoint, I don't want to get these guys spayed or neutered early. So this is a prime example. I think she hit a growth spurt probably, I don't know, it's probably around 11 or 12 months. And when I say a growth spurt, I feel like she stretched out a little bit and she leaned out a little bit. Like I fed her the same amount. She went from being kind of chubby to all of a sudden she became really lean. And so now I'm actually feeding her more to try to fill her back out. Well, if I had, what I'm getting at is if you have that dog spay at 6 months, that growth spurt happens after, there's issues that can come up that I do not want to be dealing with. So, Spry is less than 65 pounds, Mark. She's probably closer to 45 pounds. Grit at 56 pounds at a year. You know what, Brooke? That's not bad at all. I love that size, especially on a male. I like males. I don't mind them at that 55 to 65 pound. I think that's a real nice size. Just had a conversation this week with a person that we're training a dog for. We just got their puppy back. You're going to meet her. Her name is Cody. She's a sister to Tito and a sister to Lark and a sister to Artie, who are people that we know that have pups out of it. It's Timber, Randy Birdsong's dog Timber that we trained. It's pups out of that litter, and I just got one back. And so I've got brother and sister, and they're like identical in size right now. So you're going to see them coming up here soon too. Let's see, Brian Calvert. Brian is a great ambassador of what we're doing, is what UBT is doing, the United Blood Trackers. But he says Dixie and I are working on hold. When she retrieves, she'll bring it back and drop it instead of holding. Sometimes she'll stop short of me and drop any pointers I'm getting her to hold until told to drop. Yeah, hold conditioning, Brian. Easy answer, not necessarily the easiest fix. It's not a hard fix. It's a time-consuming fix. James Monjor right now is going through it, and he's on to day 45. And the guy has checked in with me every single day, and I give him a ton of credit. When he's done with it, he's outside with his dog right now, working on hold. But he's 45 days into it, 6 weeks into it. And I always tell people 6 to 8. I figure 6 to 8 weeks. Figure that, because then you just won't be disappointed when it's 7 weeks. But if it takes too long, then you told me it was gonna be done in 6 weeks. It doesn't work that way. So it takes a while, Brian. Hold conditioning is that second DVD that I'm talking about. That's going to be included with the shed, because I just think it's that important. And after realizing it, after filming it, I went, man, we got 50 minutes of really good content. I don't want to dilute from the shed DVD, so we're just going to give it to you in addition too. Have you noticed any antlers dropping yet? Would you go looking yet? I don't, Jerry. The reason I don't is because the majority of our deer still have them, and I don't have thousands and thousands of acres to shed hunt. So if they're living where I'm going to be able to have a chance to find them, I'm going to let them all live there. I'm going to let them be there for the next 4 to 6 weeks at least, and then I might go start to look. I like to try to wait. I'm limited with some of the time I get to go, so I go probably when it's not perfect, but I always like to wait until we get some good melt. Now, it depends on where you are, and some places don't have snow, but if you've got snow, that first good melt, not all the way gone, but the first good melt is going to give me an opportunity to see where every deer was living, because all the trails are ice at that point. I eliminate a lot of water to fish in when I realize where the deer lived if there was snow on the ground. And the other thing is I just don't want to bump them this time of year. They're survivalists, and they need low pressure. And if they get any pressure right now, they're going to go where there isn't pressure. And they may be on my neighbors, and all of a sudden they feel safer there because they're not out, and all of a sudden they're shedding there, and I can't find their sheds. So I had pictures of deer in December that had already shed. One was wounded, one wasn't. So I know that there's some laying right now. I'm not going to go look because I just don't have the acreage that I can risk bumping them. James says a couple more weeks. That'll be me too. Mark said NAW needs to go to Netflix. Netflix and Amazon's and Vimeo's and the different YouTube options, those are all things that I'm kind of digging into right now. I think we've got so much stuff that I want to be able to share. We're trying to figure out the best places to put it and have it live. So that's another side note when you bring up Netflix, but we're working on some stuff ourselves with that. Let's see. When will the new shed hunting DVD be available, Josh? My hope with it right now, it's getting dropped into it's getting formatted right now, so I'm hoping that we are able to get actual copies in hand within probably 2 to 3 weeks. That's my hope. Don't hold me to it, but I'm shooting for mid-February. We've got retailers that are out of our old shed DVDs, and they're waiting on them. And we also, I'm down to we kept a few because for direct sales we kept some. So through our website, if you order, we still have, that's how many we have right there. So I'm going to keep one for my archives, but that's how many we got left. The new one will probably be, I'm guessing 2 to 3 weeks is my hope. So Jeff asked the same question. Any chance it'll be at Pheasant Fest next month? I won't, Jerry. I forget what the date is on that. I saw the date on it. I forget what it is. We're somewhere. I don't remember where we're at. Next month we're in Rogers, Minnesota for Cabela's. We're in Jay's Sporting Goods. We're at multiple Whitetails Unlimited events. Early March, we're at Bass Pro Shops in Iowa. I haven't announced that one yet, but I will be. So no, I won't. It's a little squeaky here. She's going to squeak it out, and it'll be time that we send her when she settles. Brian Calvert, you need to do hold conditioning. That's right. John Ballard joined in. I've been working on a lot of hold training. He does good with a piece of wood, doesn't want to hold the antler when bringing it back, wants to drop it at my feet or a few feet in front of me. Hold train with antler. Yeah, Trace, you cannot come off of hold conditioning until hold conditioning is complete. So if you come off of hold conditioning and you start making retrieves and your dog drops it at your feet, you have started literally back at square one. So it's got to go start to finish. So live with Spry's, Trace, go back and look at the live with Spry's. They're somewhere in the numbers 100s. Start to finish. I used wooden dowels. I used canvas bumpers. I used training dummies. I used all sorts of stuff. I got from table to ground, ground to heel, heel to recall, all sorts of stuff. But it's got to be start to finish. Sam was at our workshop last year. Hoyt does well finding the sheds, but won't pick up the antler. Does fine with the bumpers and dummies and antlers. What do I do? Sam, I'd take a step back. I'd go back. Now, I'm assuming you're talking hard antlers. So intro to the hard antler is just like intro to the balled up sock in the hallway. Might take a lot of excitement. Might take a lot of getting them jacked up to get over the idea of this thing does not feel good. It doesn't feel good. But as long as the confidence is there and you're confident in them, it's an excitement level. Get them so excited, and I take steps back. So steadiness, I'm working on steadiness with Spry. I forgot about steadiness when we started retrieving. Like I literally didn't want to be steady. Just wanted her to make retrieves. So I threw that out the window. Now I'm going back. Now I'm going to start steadying back up. So you might throw steadiness out the window with Hoyt to make a pick on a hard antler. Just get him excited. Make it a fun game. Like, oh my gosh. I get excited, and he picks it up, and he's going to need a ton of encouragement, and you're going to really treat him like he's done something for the first time really, really special. And he's going to go, wow, look at what it took for Dad to get excited. And then from there, you can start to back down on that, and you can start to back off on the super, super excitement, because he's going to go, I get it. I understand this. This gets me the same retrieve as that training dummy. It gets me the same retrieve as that canvas bumper. Same retrieve as that tennis ball. So it's almost you go back to this point of you get him so excited he can't help but make you happy, and he will put whatever it is in his mouth, whether he likes it or not, because it's going to make you happy. So that would be what I would do, Sam. Let me know if you need more help on that. We can do it. I can help you with that. Hi, Rachel. James is in. Now, James is the hold conditioning. He's the man with it. Working with Jade on hold. When she comes to me to deliver, she sits to the side. How do I fix that? Well, sits to the side. What do you mean sits to the side, James? Doesn't deliver to the front. I don't really mind that. That's getting pretty picky. So, if you want to get to the point, as long as hold is solid, I'd worry about how it looks, like as far as if it's ESPN quality or not. So, if you want the dog to deliver to the front, that's fine. Maybe start changing your setup physically. So does she come to the same side every time? So she comes to the same side every time, and it's always to my left, which is heel position. She kind of circles into heel position. So it'd be like she comes in like this. If that's the case, I'd come over here and I'd make her retrieve like this, and I'd stand right here because now she can't. So she's going to come to me, and I get her right here. So just depends. Is it the same side every time? You might end up changing your setup. Get yourself up against the building. Get yourself up the garage door. No different than when we stop dogs from running victory laps. When dogs run victory laps, how do I stop that? Well, take away 50% of the equation. So retrieve with a building to your back. Now the dog can't run around you. So you just took away half of the opportunity for them to fail. So, still feeding neutral. Right now I am Jeff. Or John. John Ballard asked that. I am still feeding neutral. We're doing the grain free. Having a lot of luck with it. Have another food that I'm kind of interested in. I'm not really going to talk about it until I know more about it. But we are feeding Nutro grain free. That has been the fix for us. We've had our best luck with it. James says thanks for the picture. He's got a youth shed hunt. It sounded like that he sent me the information on, and we're gonna send him some stuff. So Let's see. LOL, the Bob Barker talk. You caught that, huh? Do you guys remember at the end? Get your pet spayed or neutered. Any pointers on a dog that loves retrieving but will frequently drop the shed or ball while running back? Hold conditioning. He'll pick it up again, but doesn't have a tight hold or bite while retrieving. Hold conditioning, Josh. It's a big, big thing. It's why we cover hold conditioning in our first shed DVD. It's a chapter. It's really short. It's not thorough. Now, a couple spots you can get this, Josh, or anyone else that's looking for it. Live with Spry, we have about 80% of hold conditioning, like day to day to day to day to day. Go back from that. I went live with Ellie and Kimber, and I did their live. I did hold conditioning with them live. It's a black dog and a yellow dog. They're sisters. Ellie, it's that one right there. And then her sister. I did those ones live. That's on our YouTube. It's on Facebook too, but it's really hard to find. So, but then I also did some with Old Dan, who's a dog that we trained for the holders out of raised hunting. And I also did it with Jet, who's a friend of ours that we trained Jet for. Bucky Labs' dog. So I filmed a ton of hold conditioning stuff. It's on our YouTube channel. So at Dogbone Hunter, you can find it all. There's a chapter of it that covers the idea of it in our old shed DVD, and the new shed DVD got to be so much information. I've separated it and created its own likeness. It's its own DVD. It's going to be about an hour long because I just think it's that important. What age do you recommend getting the spayed or neutered? Colin Brown asks. So I think a female should go through 1, preferably 2 cycles, heat cycles. So anywhere that they're going to come into their first one, it could be anywhere from 6 to 9 months old. So I think that's a little early. So especially if they come in on the early end of it. But if they come through their first heat cycle and it's anywhere in that range, then me personally, I'm going to always go through at least 2. I'm going to have them have at least 2 heat cycles. That means they're at least a year and a half old. So I think physically and sexually they've matured. That's why they're having this heat cycle. So it allows for me to have the skeletal maturity, and it lessens the opportunity for issues when it comes to joints. With the boy dogs, I like to wait till they're at least a year. I prefer a year and a half at a minimum. So 18 months for me is at a minimum. I think the upside and the downside of males versus females are simply that you deal with some stuff for that first year or two, dependent on if it's a boy or a girl. If it's a girl, you're gonna have to deal with a couple heat cycles. If it's a boy, they're gonna have a tendency to mark things. So you can fix that typically by getting them fixed, but I'm not in a rush to do it. Zeke's pretty small, around 60 pounds. I love that size. Let's see. Cornell University studies on later spaying and proves that waiting helps growth of dogs. So that, Brett, I appreciate that. That is more knowledge than I have. I just think it makes sense. Like, I think that whatever study it is, and I probably dig into it a little bit, I just think it makes sense. I'm not a vet and I'm not a scientist, but we met at ATA, Andy Sherrill. We met at ATA a couple weeks ago. Thanks for all the info. Pick up my pup in 4 weeks and getting started. Gonna get started training. Excellent. Study says wait till 2 years old. So that's I don't disagree with that at all. I think that's asking a lot, but you're gonna have the dog for 15 years. I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure that I get as many good ones out of it as possible. What brand of feed are you currently feeding, Colin? We're doing the Neutral Max, I think it's called Neutral Max Grain Free. My wife handles it, man. I'm about 4 weeks into hold conditioning. It's clearly a daily event in the Trudell household. So Jeff, we messaged a little bit about it. I hope that some of those messages helped. I think sometimes I think it's a lot like it's the same story, Jeff, that happened when you and Thor went through some of your struggles with heel. Hey, sometimes it's taking a step back and not worrying about it nearly as much from a timeliness standpoint that speeds the process up. So I appreciate your patience with me sending me messages lately because I've been busy and it's taken me a lot longer to get back to a lot of you than I am proud to say. So I am getting caught up a little bit. So let's see. Should I use a piece of wood or antler or something else for hold conditioning? Brian, I start out with a wooden dowel. Do everything with a wooden dowel because if they don't like it, I don't care if they don't like a wooden dowel.
I don't want an antler. I don't want a training dummy. I don't want a bumper. I don't want something that they're not gonna maybe connect something that isn't. They might not like this to start out. Don't connect it with something I want them to like. Oh, I can't stand your little whininess. She's not usually that bad. So Rachel's got a pup coming in 4 weeks. Awesome. Dan Todd has been doing a lot of work. Great looking little puppy. He's been sharing a lot of videos. You are getting to watch a live with Spry, Dan. It's just I'm behind on some of these questions, so I'm going to speed it up a little bit. He will take the puppy bumper in his mouth and won't recall. I encourage while coming closer to him, but he drops it as I pick him up. Should I stop at the early retrieves, or is there something I can do further to encourage him to retrieve? Very few retrieves, Zach. I go 2 or 3 retrieves a week, maybe at the most, if they're doing it well. And set yourself up for success. Are you doing it in a hallway? Close all the doors. Nowhere for the dog to run off. He has one option: out and back, out and back, out and back. Now we're done. So we need to burn them out. Part of the problem is we retrieve too much. We retrieve too much and they get bored. You gotta remember, they're little puppies. Yours is 13 weeks old. It's like a 1-year-old kid. Its amount of focus is really short. So don't burn them out. Megan joined in. Chad is in. And Zach, some of that early puppy stuff is in that original Shed DVD. Real valuable stuff. We're talking about like 13 weeks old is pretty little. I wouldn't mind being at a balled up sock with it in a hallway. Maybe a little fire hose bumper, just a little puppy bumper, tennis ball maybe. I don't care what it is, but just get two nice retrieves and be done. And then next week get 2 nice retrieves and be done. And you can slowly, trust me, they retrieve naturally. We screw them up if we do it too much. Chelsea joined in. Sam's in. You bet, Sam. Chelsea, it came last minute and it's getting later than it was supposed to. Vanessa joined in. Brett Obermeyer's in. Jeff took a step back and is more picky with hold on the table, definitely taking as much time as he needs. Yeah, there's no rush. Mm-hmm. No, Chelsea, she doesn't have to go pee. I'll share that video later. We had a good session this morning up at Mighty Pet. I think we've had not a million, but we've had a lot of good sessions up at Mighty Pet. So that's a project that, boy, we got some good stuff going on. Chelsea is a part of that project. Working with our German short shepherd pup on retrieving sheds. Just watch your tracking DVD. I'm going to start that training. Absolutely, Chad. I don't think you separate the two. There's so much crossover in skill sets. There's no reason to say I'm going to train for sheds first and tracking later. I do think it might come into play when it comes at the big picture of schedule, like the time of the year. So I want to make sure that I take advantage of this spring to have an opportunity to pick up a shed antler that's a real shed antler. But I also say don't rush and go into it with realistic expectations. Like last year, Ellie, right there, she made her first retrieve of an antler live on Facebook. It took her like 10 minutes. She tripped on it 3 times and didn't pick it up. She's one of my dogs, so I don't care. She had to figure out that last step in this where there's nothing it's the real deal. And it took her a while to do it. And when she did, I treated her like she made her first retrieve as a puppy in the hallway. Like there's a lot of praise. You can watch that. You can find it on YouTube. So don't be in a rush, but I do believe in cross training. So let's see. Good evening. We had Chase get in. Jeff, I need to start over. So Schulte says he didn't follow through. You start over? That's all right. Small hallway on the retrieves, 2 retrieves at a time, twice a week. 1 solid retrieve done starting at 10 weeks. So is this in response? Okay, so this is the beauty of it being interactive. Zach sent me a message back here and said, small hallway on retrieves, 2 retrieves at a time, twice a week. 1 solid retrieve done starting at 1 solid retrieve done starting at 10 at week 10. Not sure what that meant. But now I'm going back to your original questions. He's real steady until he released for a retrieve. He will take the puppy bumper in his mouth and won't recall. So it doesn't sound like he's making very good retrieves. I encourage while coming closer to him, but he drops it as I pick him up. I wouldn't pick him up, and I wouldn't go closer to him. I'd go the opposite. I'd go away from him. Little 13-week-old pups, now you're at a pretty touchy age. 12 to 14 weeks is usually when they like to develop a little independence and they like to do their own thing. If that's the case, just don't retrieve during that area until you get that fixed. So that's the point of the dance when the dog goes out to go to the bathroom and doesn't want to come back in. Usually it's 12 to 14 weeks. So how do we fix that? Put them on a lead. Don't let them go out. Don't give them an opportunity to not come back to me. So the problem comes back to the root of the recall. So the recall needs to be there. So it says, I encourage while coming closer to him. I would not go closer to him. He's likely to go away from you. So I would go away from him and encourage him to come to me. That's that reverse mentality of it. Go away from him and call him to you. And when he does, get down and praise him for coming. So I would. The question would be, where's the recall at? How are you with recall, bumper or no bumper, and forget about the bumper for a while until you have that recall solid. Then you can start working back into it. So you said it here. Should I stop with early retrieves, or is there something I can do further? Probably stop. I'd stop. I'd fix recall. I'd get through this point of not having him want to, and I wouldn't pick him up. I wouldn't bend him down to pick him up. Instead, I'd share the bumpers with him. I'd put my hand right here, and I'd encourage a nice share. Oh, very good. Thank you. You're good. So I want to share the bumper with him. I don't want to take it away from him. Because I don't want his mentality to be, I don't want to go by him. He's going to take it away. So that is the nice part about Facebook Live, is we can kind of get this interaction going. Love your thought process behind training. I started out as a horse trainer, transferring that knowledge to my dogs. I don't find many trainers, dog world, who think like you. Thank you, Kayla. I've learned more. I've never ridden a horse. I've never Bay Beach, man. I don't know if you're from the Green Bay area. I rode a pony at Bay Beach once, but I don't know anything about horses. But I've watched a horse trainer, and because a guy told me I should watch him and watch a movie about him, and his name was Buck Brannaman, and I bought everything I can of his because I really think that Buck Brannaman has taught me more about how to talk about how I think about training dogs more than anyone I've ever met in the dog world. So I've met some really good dog trainers, and I've taken so much stuff from other people. But I do think you got to figure out your own style. But thank you for that. I really appreciate that. 8-week-old GSP has lots of energy and loves retrieving. I'm trying not to do too much retrieving just yet, but I'm having trouble finding other ways to burn his energy. Thoughts? Make him think about things, Caleb. Make him think about things, not physical. This is such a perfect time. I just wrote an article for it on Badger Sportsman, or I think it's called the Badger Sportsman. Might be the Badgerland Sportsman. I think it's the Badgerland Sportsman magazine that I'm doing some contributing to. Just wrote an article about it. It came up today at Mighty Pet. You'll probably see it come out pretty soon on the video. But one of the things that people have to realize is when we teach dogs to get tired by burning off energy physically, running them and exercising. Now, I think there's a balance. I think you have to have some exercise. You have to have some ability for them to let some energy off, but it has to be under control. And if all you do is tire your dog out by letting them run, you're simply conditioning an athlete. And what happens when an athlete is conditioned? They can run further, they can run more, they can run harder without being tired. So if all we do is, you got an 8-week-old puppy, Caleb, right now is the time that you do not create the habit of, when I get kind of rambunctious, all I do is run wild because it's mindless. And it's going to do is create a runner. It's going to create a dog that can run a long, long distance without getting tired. So what you need to do is slow everything down. The thing I talked about this morning was I'd rather walk a mile and take 45 minutes than run 10 miles in 20 minutes with a dog. Because the dog that walks 45 minutes to go a mile will be more tired after that mile than the dog that ran 10 miles in 20 minutes or less. You have to make them think. You have to get the balance between mind and physical. And it's harder for them to do it with mind. So at 8 weeks old, I also say one lap around the house usually gets them pretty tuckered out. So there's a fine line of that. So, but 8 weeks is really little. Like 8 weeks, they can get tired growing. Like they literally tire themselves out growing. So it doesn't take much energy burn off to tire out 8-week-old puppies. But you start talking 12 weeks, another month from now, it's a whole different animal. So that's my 2 cents on that one. How early is too early for tracking training? There is no too early, Dan. So your little puppy is really little. You got that 8-9-week-old puppy as well. I'd start doing a little bit of hunt command with it using kibble. That would be the way I start out on tracking. So I'd start a hunt command with kibble. I use the same hunt command for a shed dog. So all I want to do is get them to associate, use your nose, get a reward, and the reward right now can be kibble. Later it can be retrieve, later it can be something else. But Chad says consistent on retrieves and also just started doing multiple retrieves, the second one being a real antler, brief sessions lasting about 10 to 15 minutes. Sounds good. That's not the same Chad. That was Zach that was having the issue before. So, Zach, is that a different Zach? I kept a deer hide and liver. Anything special need to be done with the deer hide? Storing size, clean up, freeze them, Zach. Just keep them in the freezer. I like the hides are about 8 inches by 8 inches square. That allows for me to wrap it around a standard fire hose bumper. So the fire hose bumpers that we use, an 8 by 8 wraps around it perfectly. That's why I like that size. I don't think it has to be any bigger. It's convenient to put in a Ziploc bag, like a sandwich bag, and then you can freeze it in between. So don't do anything else. Don't let it dry out. And if you do let it dry out, you'll have to flesh it out. That's what we do. We have them fleshed out. But they're not preserved with anything. They're not tanned. They're nothing like that. So when we sell them in our kit and as real hides, you got to put them in water to rehydrate them and reactivate that bacteria to create the scent. So just keep them in a freezer. How do I get the dog to focus on bird scent more than deer scent when out in the field? I think it's scent discrimination and associating reward. So if you have a dog that runs deer when you're bird hunting, it's not that you have a bad bird dog, it's you have a dog with a control problem. No different than if your dog runs after birds while you're bird hunting. Just because you got a bird dog doesn't mean I want a dog to track a pheasant 1,000 yards in front of us and flush it, because that's how you get uninvited on hunting trips. So I want dogs to understand control and range more than anything. So you want to know, how do I get a dog to focus on bird scent more than deer scent? I think they're going to smell everything. I don't think you dictate what they focus on. They're going to smell it all. You teach them to work within a range or controlled distance. Same as my shed dogs, same as my gun dogs, same as my bird dogs. So, but they can smell anything they want within there. They're going to associate certain things with reward, which is ultimately probably going to be driven back to retrieve. Let's see. Chelsea's talking mental stimulation. Yeah, we Jeremy's shared many videos about this. Yes. So she's seen a ton of that. When would you start out on sit and recall to start working on sit and recall to the whistle? I don't call a dog off a sit, Jeff. So when do I start working on sit and recall to the sit to the whistle? I can do that anytime. I mean, as soon as you start heel work, I like to incorporate the whistle right away. So that might be as young as 10 to 12 weeks. That's real little. But anytime after that. Treadmill works too. Again, I think the treadmill is physical activity. And I just think you're conditioning an athlete. Now, I think there's a balance of that, Rhett. So I think you got to have a little of both for sure. But I think what's overlooked more often than not, and should be, I think, emphasized, is the mental part of it, as opposed to the physical. Would you say the pup should be out solid to the voice command before adding the whistle? Yeah, Jeff, can be simultaneous. I don't care if you train it to the whistle first. It's tone more than anything. Sit is a tone to them. So I like to have a dog understand sit. I think it's real easy to incorporate sit. It's easier to incorporate sit when they're really, really little, and you'll see that when Spry was just a tiny, tiny little puppy, a little penned in area in our mud room. You'll see that. Holly Miller joined in. Caleb, thanks, Jeremy, is definitely making sense. I'll look for opportunities for mental stimulation. You bet. Now I'm going to wrap it up, guys. We are getting to the bottom. What are your thoughts on tracking training while also doing whole conditioning? I think you can do that, Jeff. I don't have a problem with it because there's such little retrieve involved, and I think you can avoid the retrieve portion of it at the end. You can substitute it with something else. Jack said he fleshed and salted the hide while it was warm out. Yes, you can dry it that way, or you can just throw it in the freezer. Nope, salt is natural. So your body's made up. The deer's body, our bodies are made up with so much salt. Zach, it's a preservative, which helps with the fleshing process. I think a light salting is okay. I don't want to soak it in salt, but wash it off and rehydrate it. Rhett says the treadmill was a joke. I'm telling you right now, Rhett, there's a lot of treadmills out there. I see it all the time. I see guys that jump in their four-wheelers and drive 20 miles and let their dog sprint. And I go, man, all you're doing is creating a dog that can run a long ways and not get tired. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. Steph's not going to be happy with me, but I don't think she's watching. Good girl. Very good. Come on. Good girl. You see, she's still figuring this thing out. Oh, there it is. Come on. Come on. Good girl. Hold. Hold. Very nice. So, nice little reward for her. Plenty of time tonight that we just, we didn't do anything. We just sat. We just sat, and then we sat some more. So, remember, it doesn't always have to be fancy, guys. It doesn't always have to be exciting. Some of the best training is the most boring. And as long as you guys are okay with that, that's what you're going to... If you're not okay with it, you find another live, I suppose. Because that's just the way it's going to have to be. But you guys have a great night. Thank you for following this one again. Do me a favor, if you guys would, please continue to share them. That to me is the biggest compliment I can get, and it also is the best way to grow them. So if you know someone that you think some of these live with Sprys might help, please do me the favor, share it with them, and we'll continue to grow it. I think the more people get involved, the better they get, because the more problems that come up and the more things that we can fix. So talk with you guys soon. Have a great night.